Hi everyone, Megan here. Today I'm going to discuss the next installment in the Louisa May 2020 read-along that Kate Howe and I are hosting. So below you'll see all the information about the read-along, including a link to Kate Howe's announcement video. So today I'm going to be discussing Rose in Bloom. So Rose in Bloom tackles some pretty tough subjects. Subjects like alcoholism, drunk driving, child abuse. These are all pretty heavy topics, but Louisa May Alcott approaches them in a way that is appropriate for a child to read about and is in fact good to read about, to be aware of those things even as a child. It doesn't dwell on these topics, but it explores them in a helpful way. Now, I did find this book to be a little too sweet at times, but overall I did really enjoy it. Now, before I go any further into Rose in Bloom, I just wanted to say that for the month of May, so next month, we will be reading Hospital Sketches by Louisa May Alcott. Now, this is completely different from any of her other works. This is basically a nonfiction work about a Civil War nurse, and of course, Louisa May Alcott is that Civil War nurse, even though she gives her a different name, kind of tongue-in-cheek. I think it's something like Periwinkle or something like that, Nurse Periwinkle. So it's a really enjoyable book. It covers some really interesting topics. So if you've been a little disillusioned with some of the sweetness of Louisa May Alcott, Hospital Sketches is quite different, so I would highly recommend it. Now let's get into Rose in Bloom. I'll keep it spoiler-free for now, but then I will get into spoilers. So I just wanted to talk about the role of women first. Oh, but before I get into that, I guess I should give you a plot summary. So Rose in Bloom is the sequel to 8 Cousins. So we've already met Rose and her 7 boy cousins, as well as her friend Phoebe, who used to be her servant, but now she's like her adopted sister, kind of. So Rose and Phoebe and the man who has raised Rose, her uncle Alec, and who's also adopted Phoebe, they come back from Europe after, I don't know, I think they're gone for like 2 years or something, kind of like the grand tour. So they come back and they reconnect with all their cousins, and many things ensue. You know, Phoebe discovers her voice more as a singer. Rose discovers what she wants to do, that she wants to be a philanthropist. The boys follow their own paths, figuring out where they want to go, and there's romance. There's all kinds of things. It's a really enjoyable book, and it's quite small because it was originally written for children. So it's great. Now I will get into talking about the role of women. So this book was published in 1876, 1 year after Rose in Bloom. So just so you keep that in mind of where we are in history, how, you know, women don't have the vote yet, all those kinds of things, but there are suffragettes. So just so you're aware of where we are when we approach this topic. Now, the boys assume when they've gotten home from Europe that they're just going to want to, you know, basically find a husband right away and settle down and have children. But Rose and Phoebe kind of say, no, we've got other plans. So Rose says to the boys, we've got minds and souls as well as hearts, ambitions and talents as well as beauty and accomplishments. And we want to live and learn as well as love and be loved. I'm sick of being told that is all a woman is fit for. I won't have anything to do with love till I prove that I am something besides a housekeeper and a baby tender. Not that there's anything wrong with, you know, tending babies and keeping the house, but she doesn't want to be put in that box of that's all you are. So I love how she kind of kicks back against that. Now, briefly, I'll discuss the topic of race. Now, basically all the characters are white except for one Chinese character named Fun C. I discuss how Louisa May Alcott treats Fun C in 8 Cousins in my 8 Cousins video. So I won't get too much into that in this book here because I already did it over there. But yeah, there is casual racism. There is a kind of patronizing kind of attitude towards Fun C. But one thing that I thought was very interesting is that Rose has a friend named Annabelle Bliss. Don't you just love that name? Annabelle Bliss. And Annabelle Bliss is very much she wants everything to be done exactly proper and exactly right, to stick to the status quo, be that proper woman, be that woman of society. That's her goal in life. And she's saying to Rose, like, why are you doing these, you know, why don't you dress fashionably? Why do you have these weird ideas about philanthropy or about, you know, being good? Like, why do you have these weird ideas? Just stick to the status quo. So that's who Annabelle Bliss is. So something that doesn't quite fit in with her character, it seems very out of character for me, is that she wants to marry Fun C. And they do. They plan on getting married. And so it's just a little bit like that doesn't quite seem to fit in with her character, with this sticking to the status quo, don't deviate from the path, because an interracial marriage was a huge deal back then. Like, that was a big deal. That's still a big deal in a lot of places. So I just didn't, I liked that there was an interracial marriage. I really liked that. Not that we actually see the marriage, but I liked that there was an interracial relationship, even if it was just a tiny, tiny little part of the book. But it just seemed out of character for Annabelle. I wanted more of that story. I wanted to see Annabelle kind of change her ways, go from being to the status quo to realize, actually, no, I love this person. I wanted that to be fully fleshed out and more interesting. Okay, I am going to be getting into spoilers now. So if you don't want spoilers, you better click off this video. So, okay. If you're going to read this book, here's the spoiler, you have to get over the fact that cousins back in the 1870s could be in love with cousins. It's weird, it's strange, I still struggle with it as I'm reading it. I can somehow buy it easier in Jane Austen than in this. For some reason, Jane Austen seems a lot farther and more distant than this, so it just seems weird. So yeah, you have to get past that in order to enjoy the romances, because the romances are between the cousins. But I do love that Uncle Alec is starting to have this theory that cousins shouldn't marry cousins. Like, he has this, he doesn't approve of it. And it's like, I think you're onto something, Uncle Alec. I mean, Uncle Alec is the doctor of the family. I loved the literary references in this book. Charlie, one of the boy cousins, he references The Mysteries of Udolpho, which is a classic Gothic novel by Anne Radcliffe, and which is heavily talked about in Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I haven't actually read it myself, but in a way I feel like I have, because all these books talk about it so much. This was just a passing quote by Charlie. They also mentioned Rochester from Jane Eyre, and they're like, you do not be like a Rochester, basically, like, he should not be your role model, Charlie. Mac also reads a lot of Henry David Thoreau, as well as Ralph Waldo Emerson, both of who Louisa May Alcott knew in real life, and both of who she had crushes on at different times, even though they were much older than her. Okay, let's talk about Phoebe. One thing that does distance this book from now is how classist this book is. The Campbells, Rose's family and her cousins, they're the Campbells. They are one of the more, they're a good family. They're a good old family, and they're Scottish, they're Caucasian, they're wealthy, they're of old stock, old money. And so Phoebe, she was their servant in Eight Cousins, and now she's the adopted sister of Rose, and she came from an orphanage. So she doesn't know who her parents are. She was a servant. And when she falls in love with Archie, the oldest son, the oldest cousin of Rose, and Archie falls in love with Phoebe, the family will not have it. They're like, you cannot marry Phoebe. She was a servant. And it's like, the whole family agrees with this, basically, except Archie and Rose and Uncle Alec. And it's like, why would you, like, how? Like, it's not even like this is, in Britain where you're a lord and you're a lady and you're whatever, you're a duke, you're a duchess, you can't marry a commoner. It's like, no, they don't even have that same class system. And yet they do have that same class system. So there's also chapter 21. So I think that's like the second last chapter in the book. It's called How Phoebe Earned Her Welcome. And it's like, Phoebe isn't just welcomed. She has to earn it. She has to do something to make everybody love her. It's that conditional love. And we see that in Joe's voice with Dan's storyline. In a way, he has to earn love and forgiveness. And so it's like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. But it is an interesting insight into this time, that there was this classism. That is interesting. And it also makes me think that if they are making such a big deal about Phoebe, then Annabelle Bliss's family should also be making a big deal about Fun C, but maybe her family is just really great. Now for the topic that stands out the most to me, which is Charlie, one of the boys. Charlie is an alcoholic, and he does die in this book in a drunk driving accident. He's driving his carriage, and he dies because of his recklessness. It's cold outside. He, passes out outside in the cold. It's a really interesting topic. It's discussed very tastefully, and I really like it because, Like, this is such an applicable topic for today that I think it's great when kids can read about it in an understandable, manageable way so that, you know, they understand from an early age what can happen. Now, with Charlie, this is an addiction. This isn't just he drinks once in a while for fun. This is an addiction. I love this quote. It says it all. I believe Mac is the one who says it. He says, "That's only a glass of wine to you, but it is perdition to Charlie." So Charlie cannot say no. Like, he cannot. He when he sees it, he has it. Like, he can't stop. Rose, Uncle Alec, they can't stop him. Nothing can stop him. You know, they didn't know very much about addictions or how to overcome them back then. We still need to learn a lot more about them. So Charlie really was at a disadvantage. Another quote about it, he says, "I thought it was only a habit, easy to drop when I liked, but it is stronger than I, and sometimes I feel as if possessed of a devil that will get the better of me, try as I may." And then it's sad when Charlie's dying and he says, "Rose, I'm not ready. I'm not ready." And like this is a really dark question to ask in the middle of a review of a kid's book, but are you ready? Are you ready to die? That's a dark question, and it's something we don't like to think about, but it's a reality. Like, we can't always distract ourselves from the reality. Not that we should dwell on it, but it's just a question for you to think about that I throw out to you. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready, which I'm so happy about. And I want you to be ready too, because I know God. If you have any questions, let me know. But don't worry, I'm not going to preach anymore. I don't want to ever preach at you. The only reason why I talk about this is because I care about you and I want you to have the hope that I have. Okay, back to Rose in Bloom. Another thing about Rose is that she was responsible for Charlie. She always felt like she was caring for him, and his not falling into his addiction was up to her to keep him back, and that is that's not right. Nobody should have that responsibility. So even after Charlie has died, Rose, she's not as sad as she feels like she should be. She is sad, but she's like, I feel as if a weight has been lifted. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't helpful how her family and she and him were putting all this pressure on her to be Charlie's savior. Now let's talk about Rose and Mac. Woohoo! Mac is the ugly duckling of the siblings. He is straightforward, he is smart, he is honest, brutally honest sometimes, and he is delightful. And he and Rose end up together. They've always been best friends, all the way through 8 Cousins and Rose in Bloom, and then one day they're kind of like, oh, I think I like you. Oh, I think I do too. And it goes from there. And I love this quote. It says, let's see here. Rose was more excited by Mac's repressed emotion than she had ever been by Charlie's most touching demonstration, though she did not know why. Because Charlie loved her before he died, so Charlie was always very elegant and very graceful and, you know, the perfect gentleman. Well, kind of. But basically, he played the game well. He knew how to be attractive to ladies, and he did it well. Whereas Mac didn't know the game. He just was himself. And when Rose saw the way Charlie was acting, she was like, oh yeah, maybe she got a heart flutter. But when Mac was really himself and really in love with her, she was like, whoa, this is means way more to me than whatever Charlie ever did. Yeah, so that's basically all my thoughts on Rose in Bloom. It is a delightful book. I enjoyed it. I am looking forward more to Hospital Sketches, to be honest, because I really, really enjoyed the gritty historical, actual, that actually happened, that we're getting a first-hand account from a Civil War nurse. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But Rose in Bloom, also very good. Yeah, I guess that's all. Tell me, who is your favorite of the Campbell cousins? Is Mac your favorite, or Archie, or Charlie, or Jamie, the little one? I'd love to hear that below. And I guess that's all for now. Next month we'll be reading Hospital Sketches, and I hope you join us for that. So yeah, that is all for now. May you all be filled with peace, hope, love, and joy. So take care, everyone. Bye.